"Close the door before he gets out!" Mordecai shouted. I didn't know who he was, but I spun to shut the door as quickly as I could. I whirled back around to seek out Mordecai, but instead found the satyr, the one I'd been outside avoiding. The satyr's hooves slipped on the wood and the brass handle as he tried to open the door. When his attention turned to me, he abandoned his attempt at escape. "Hello there, dearie." His voice disturbed me more than the face behind it. I flattened myself against the door, and he pinned me to it. He lifted his arm above his head and leaned in. It was a disturbing act of seduction. Ugh! The stench pressed me even farther against the door. Carvings and knobs bit into my back. "You smell awful!" The satyr threw his head back and laughed, assaulting my nostrils with putrid breath. I caught a flash of yellow, pointed teeth before he snapped his jaw shut. "It's the scent of desire, and you can't resist it. No woman can." His words hissed through barely parted lips. If this was desire, then I hoped never to desire another thing in my life. I flicked frantic eyes around his furry head, searching for Marcello or Mordecai, anyone who could help me. Even the butler Robert would have been great just then. But Mordecai was at the end of the entry hall, consoling the maiden the satyr had tormented for centuries while they were trapped within their tapestry. The maiden, folded in on herself in her trauma and grief, sat in a chair sobbing. Mordecai hovered over her, apparently looking for a way to comfort the girl, and finding none. The maiden held her face in her hands. Soft blonde hair fell forward, shielding her from the satyr's red eyes, the ones that had considered her their prey for an eternity in thread. Her shoulders trembled even beneath the cloak Mordecai had given her to conceal her nudity. As with much in Irele Castle, the art wasn't as it seemed. When I'd first arrived, I'd assumed the tapestries and paintings here behaved as normal art did, which is to say they didn't behave or misbehave at all. But as was the way with the castle, its art turned out to be just as dangerous and volatile as the rest of it. The tapestries and paintings were as much prisons as they were art. Their subjects were alive and could step out from the art under certain circumstances. The certain circumstances were hazy to me. No one had bothered to explain how it was that seemingly all the creatures in the art in this castle, and tapestries and paintings lined its every wall, had escaped it. The maiden was wailing with enough lament to convince me that the satyr had been able to torment her all the while she was a captive of the tapestry. And I'd witnessed Sir Lancelot fly from his painting, the one in the dining room, when Marcello uttered the spell to release him from it.